6. Grace and I aren't together, Ryan said. The matching outfits were just a coincidence. I still didn't speak. I knew what he was going to say next, and I was afraid. You've been ignoring me and leaving without even eating. Are you jealous? Ryan looked me straight in the eyes. No. Don't talk nonsense. I looked up sharply at him, vehemently denying it. Then why do you check my social media every day? Ryan grabbed my arm. And that Miss Orange who comments and likes my posts on the book forum, is that you? He was right about everything, but I wasn't going to admit it. I'll ask you one last time. Think carefully before you answer. Ryan said, Evelyn, do you want to be with me? Did I want to be with him? Spend a few months or a year or two on him? No, that wasn't part of my life plan. He wasn't right for me, and I wasn't right for him. There was no need to waste each other's time. But his eyes were so captivating, and he smelled so wonderful. Just looking at him made my heart feel tender and warm. Penny was right. There was a man I wanted to see at the wedding. I had happily bought a new outfit and put on a full face of makeup just to meet him there. I didn't speak, and neither did Ryan. The eye contact lasted so long my eyes began to ache. I looked away into the distance. Ryan lowered his head and chuckled self-deprecatingly. I get it. I won't bother you anymore, he whispered, softer than the breeze. I opened my mouth to call him back, but in the end, I just watched silently as he walked farther and farther away. The sunlight shone on his back, and I suddenly remembered that rainy night, his shoulders soaked through by the downpour. I took out another cigarette, but my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't light it. It had been a long time since I'd felt this sad. My heart ached in waves, like it was being cut over and over by a dull knife. I felt helpless and overwhelmed. I really wanted to cry. My bag was still in the hotel banquet hall. I had planned to grab it and say goodbye to Mia before leaving, but I ran into the group making toasts. Feeling miserable, I accepted every toast, downing each glass in one go. Applause and cheers surrounded me. I floated in a daze, grinning foolishly, until finally Ryan pushed through the crowd and stopped my glass. You're drunk, Ryan said, his expression darkening as he frowned, his tone sharp. Our colleagues started teasing us, their glances growing suggestive. I noticed Grace's face go pale as she stared at me in disbelief. I'll take you home, Ryan said, grabbing my bag and pulling me forward by the arm, his movements anything but gentle. I felt humiliated. I didn't know what had gotten into Ryan. But with everyone watching, I couldn't bring myself to argue with him. I steadied my steps, pretending nothing was wrong, and nodded to everyone, apologizing for having to leave early. At the hotel entrance, Ryan pushed me into a taxi and tossed my bag onto my lap. Just as he was about to close the door, the bag slipped from my lap and fell onto the ground outside the car. I stared blankly at Ryan, completely baffled by what was happening. I couldn't understand why he was being so harsh. I was drinking my own wine. What did it have to do with him? Grabbing my arm, throwing my bag. Was he out of his mind? Ryan glared at me for a moment before bending down to pick up the bag. He opened the passenger door, got in, and gave the driver my home address. How did you know where I live? I asked in surprise. Ryan ignored me. As the alcohol took effect, I dozed off in the cab. When I finally sobered up, I found myself in Ryan's arms. He was holding me steady as the elevator rose. He smelled wonderful, clean and fresh, like a pine forest after a rain. Leaning against his shoulder, I felt as light as a cloud, drifting. Neither of us spoke. Ryan's lips were pressed tightly together. He was still angry and ignoring me. But his arm held me securely, warm and strong. He liked me. Ryan walked me to my door and waited until I unlocked it before turning to leave. "Ryan," I called out to stop him. He hesitated for a moment before turning back, yet stubbornly avoided meeting my gaze. "Thank you," I said softly. "You're welcome," Ryan replied, already turning away. "Ryan," I called again. This time, he finally looked at me, his gaze locked onto mine, intense and penetrating, as if trying to see straight into my soul. My heart was pounding wildly. My lips felt swollen, and my throat was tight. I stared back into Ryan's eyes, watching as his confusion gave way to burning intensity. Ryan took a step forward, and my heart nearly leaped out of my chest. He wants to kiss me. I can tell. Time seemed to stand still. I could hear the blood pounding in my ears. I tilted my head back, unable to tear my eyes away. Ryan's Adam's apple bobbed. "Don't look at me like that," he said. His voice was low, almost a whisper, slightly husky, yet so unbearably sexy it made me shiver. What should I do? Look away, close the door, and let life continue along its predetermined path? Or reach up, wrap my arms around his neck, rise onto my toes, and kiss him fiercely? My mind was in chaos, like a stampede of wild horses thundering through my head. But before I could decide, Ryan had already taken a step back and turned away. He didn't kiss me. He just turned and left. He was more aloof, more stubborn, and prouder than I had imagined. The elevator doors opened, then closed. Ryan's face slowly disappeared through the narrowing gap. The fire in his eyes had gone out, leaving only a cold, distant look. I stood there in stunned silence for a long time before reality finally sank in. No. I rushed to the elevator and frantically pressed the down button. There's still time, there's still time. If I can catch Ryan on the first floor, I'll be with him. I like him. I've liked him ever since I accidentally bumped into him by the water cooler and saw him blush. The moment the elevator reached the first floor, I rushed out. But the lobby was empty. There was no sign of Ryan. I ran desperately until, far in the distance, near the neighborhood entrance, I finally spotted him. He walked briskly, without hesitation. His retreating figure was so resolute, leaving no room for reconciliation. No, he had given me plenty of chances. It was my fault. I wasn't the right person. How could my weary, worldly heart ever deserve a soul so pure and wholehearted? The sunlight seemed to bleach his silhouette. His light blue shirt appeared almost white, a white so bright it stung my eyes. I raised my hand, wanting to call his name, but the words caught in my throat and wouldn't come out. Who am I? I'm Evelyn, 30 years old, single-mindedly climbing the corporate ladder, at the peak of my career. Why would I bother getting involved with a 23-year-old guy? Love? A fleeting infatuation that fades in 3 months, 6 at most. Is it really worth my time and energy? No, I don't think so. I'm not that strong either. My strength is only enough to love myself. I can't bear the weight of someone else's genuine feelings. I watched Ryan's figure disappear beyond the neighborhood gate. At the corner where he vanished, roses bloomed brilliantly on the wall, lush and vibrant. I recall Lin Bai's poem. In January, you were still nowhere to be seen / in February, you slept just next door / in March, the heavy rains came down / in April, roses bloomed all around / in May, we sat face to face / as if lost in a dream. No, Ryan and I will no longer be sitting across from each other. In April, roses bloom everywhere. Our story ended in April. He'll never know I loved him, even if it was just for a little while. The end.